Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. I am once again at the legendary SABBATH'S, and you've seen my guest on TV and screen for over 30 years. And now he's co-starring opposite John Turtorro and Elizabeth Marvel in SABBATH'S Theater for the new group. And on December 21st, he'll be back at Chelsea Table and Stage with his improvisational cabaret called Off the Top. Please welcome Jason Kravits. Well, I am thrilled to be sitting with you here at SABBATH'S, which is a friendly home of yours, isn't it?
Yes, I love this place, especially this room. This is like, I had my 50th birthday party here.
Nice. We're on the fourth floor here.
90 years ago. Yes. One of my favorite places.
And this was one of your favorite places when you were doing The Drowsy Chaperone across the street.
Yes.
You all lived here, right?
Oh, this was where every week. This was the actors menu on Wednesdays. We'd come here, and Angela Pupello and Linda Griffin, and just a great gathering of people. We'd always come to the second floor and chow down on the actors menu.
See how incredible memories all come back to like SABBATH'S, right? When you come and think about it.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on everything that's happening for you.
Thank you, yeah.
You're back on the boards again, co-starring alongside John Turturro and Elizabeth Marvel in the incredible new play, SABBATH'S Theater for the new group.
Yeah.
What is that like for you?
Oh, it's like an acting class in a way, the rehearsals with Joe Bonnie directing Elizabeth and John, and I'm just sitting there watching, but also just getting to work with some incredible actors with incredible material. It's a real gift. It's a real gift as an actor.
So how did this show come about for you?
Well, John and I worked together about 12 years ago. We did a show on Broadway called Relatively Speaking, which was 3 one-acts by Woody Allen, Elaine May, and Ethan Cohen. And I got to play there, and John directed all 3. And since that time, John has invited me to do readings of screenplays and other things he was working on, usually playing various characters. So when this came about, he called and said, "Would you come do this reading?" I said, "Sure." And I thought it was going to be me and about 10 other people. And it turned out to be me and John and one other person. And I was playing all the men that weren't John or weren't the character Mickey Sabbath. And the woman was playing all the other roles. And I just did a couple of readings of it, and then they asked me to do the show.
Okay, so this is based on Philip Roth's book.
Yes.
So explain what SABBATH'S Theater is.
Wow.
It's a big question.
That is a big question.
Yeah.
SABBATH'S Theater is an epic novel. It's 350 pages, and it's about a failed puppeteer who has been living a life of just complete and utter debauchery and lasciviousness and chasing the pleasures of the flesh, in order to really bury and escape from a certain amount of grief and pain in his life. But now all those ghosts are coming back to haunt him, and he's having to come face to face with mortality, his own mortality and others' mortality. And he is retracing places in his life, back from where he lives in the Berkshires for the last 30 years, down into New York City and his old haunts where he was a puppeteer, and his other loves and past lives, and then to the Jersey Shore where he grew up. And John is on stage for 100 straight minutes. He's phenomenal. It's a tour de force performance, I'm sure you can agree. And I play all the men in his life, from past, present, and future, and Elizabeth plays all the women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautifully written, beautifully performed. I mean, talk about some of the guys you play, the men in his life.
Sure, but I just want to say about the beautifully written part.
Yeah.
A lot of people have tried to adapt Philip Roth before, for television, for films especially, and they have to rewrite a lot of things, and it loses a lot. John and Ariel Levy, who's the co-adapter, were very specific in only using Philip Roth's words. His cadences, his choice of phrases are so specific, and I think that's what makes the show really dynamic and interesting. And I play 5 different people in Mickey's life, everyone from the husband of one of his lovers to his best friend from 30 years ago who produced his theater, to his 100-year-old cousin at the Jersey Shore. And so it's fun for me to really have to shape-shift in character, you know, change all the characters over the course of the hour and a half or so.
So I was going to ask you, how much fun is that as an actor? It must be wonderful.
Oh, I love it.
To play different characters in the same show.
Yeah, some people don't like it. Some people like to go in and play a character and stick through, but I really love trying to find the specificity of each different person, each different character, and where they come from, and what their physicality is, and what their voice is, and that's a lot of fun for me. Yeah.
Who was the easiest for you to grasp onto, and who was the most challenging?
Oddly enough, I would say the 100-year-old man named Cousin Fish. He's probably the easiest to grab onto for me because he reminded me of so many of my relatives. And a lot of people have that same experience. Like, oh, I know that guy. He was my uncle. He was my grandfather. Because, you know, there's something very specific about being an immigrant Jew from Russia through the Bronx into New Jersey, and that at that point in the 90s. So it was really easy for me to grab onto little pieces of that and vocal tics and things like that. And the hardest one was probably, well, the Croatian immigrant isn't easy. Certainly having to learn a Croatian accent and make it specific from a Russian accent or a Serbian accent, it's actually very specific. So, and somebody, my first entrance in the show is somebody who's in a deep level of grief, but containing it. So it's a really tough entrance to make.
I love your voices and your dialects and everything else. Were you always good at that?
Yeah, I think so. I think I grew up in a very vaudevillian household, even though nobody in my extended family were performers until my brother and I kind of took the reins, really. Everybody was doing community theater or, you know, I like to say all of my family were vaudevillians, just none of them professionally. But there was a lot of comedy in my house and singing and music. So, yeah, I think that was something that I did a lot of when I was young.
Did you and your brother sort of start together?
I guess, yeah. I mean, we were in bands together and shows in high school and things like that. My sister, my older sister, is an accompanist and a musician, and my younger sister was a dancer and an artist, and she also performed at times, and my father did community theater. So we were all doing it together as a family. And then my brother went more towards the singing world for a long time and was working with a vocal, what do you call it, an a cappella group, thank you. An a cappella group for a long time, pursuing that, and I was doing theater and television, and then we came together for Drowsy Chaperone. But he's always been an actor as well, yeah.
I love it. Talk about your director, Jo Bonney. Love her.
Oh, Jo is
the
phenomenal.
Best. Yeah.
I mean, and it's such a different energy when you have this character of Sabbath, Mickey Sabbath, who is so hugely masculine and vociferous, and John, who's such a big performer. Well, no, he's not big, but he really puts everything into it, you know what I mean? And he can run the gamut from like just shouting to making you crack up to putting you in tears. He's got this great range. And Jo is very quiet. And she said to me once, she goes, I'm like water on a stone. Just drip, 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 and just persistent and clear. And for me personally, I was so lucky to be able to come to her and say, what am I missing with this? I'm feeling like I'm not grabbing. And she'll say, well, just do this. And she'll give me a little adjustment, and I could take that and blossom with it. So loved working with her. She has such a great eye and a real great way of talking to actors, which is very rare, actually. Not every director is a great actor's director, and she certainly is. Yeah.
Let's talk about the new group. We all fell in love with the new group many years ago. They do such incredible productions that Scott Elliott has created and put together. I mean, had you worked before there?
I've never worked at the new group before. I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of their work and their choices. I mean, there's nobody else who does work in New York City like the new group. Scott Elliott is so specific in what he chooses, and I think he likes to say when he got this script, he knew immediately. He's like, we have to do this. And then looking at the script, I'm like, that's impressive that you knew you could do this script. Most places, I think, would be like, yeah, that's not quite for us. It's a little, you know, crazy and lewd, and, you know, this is where Scott focuses. And he looks for shows that showcase great acting, and I think this really does in a lot of ways.
And everybody wants to work there. When you look back at all the years of the incredible great star actors who have worked.
So many.
And that he's created, like given them a job that then went on to become these huge names.
He was integral in a lot of people's successes and giving them opportunities to perform in New York City. You know, I hope me too, you know. I hope to reach that level someday.
Oh, I think you'll be back. I think he'll hire you in something back there.
I hope so.
But I love the audience that go to the new group too. I mean, I was there the other day. It's a crackling audience. I mean,
Yes.
they're so smart.
Oh, they are, and they're
Yeah.
very dedicated to that group, and thank God. I mean, it's like theater is a very difficult thing these days. It's very difficult to get an audience. So Scott's been able to develop this crowd that comes and sees the shows, and we've had a couple of talkbacks, and wow, it's like 3/4 of the audience stays, and the questions they ask, you know, they're hard. I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. That's really difficult.
No, it's a smart audience.
Really smart, really great.
And of all different ages, which I love.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
isn't that great?
These young kids who want to they're like sitting on the edge of their seat, like really watching this, which is great.
It's so rare as well to have a younger crowd in the theater these days. That's not a musical on Broadway. So it's been really, really exciting to be part of something that's not only starting from scratch, but also seeing the response to it.
Well, it's one of the most exciting productions in town right now.
Oh, great.
But now you have another show coming up,
I do.
believe, which takes place on December 21st. You're going to be back at Chelsea Table and Stage.
Yep.
Now, what is the name of this show you're doing there?
This show is called Off the Top.
Yeah.
It's a show that I've been doing for about 6-7 years now, all over the place, from in town at Birdland and Joe's Pub and places like that, all the way to
Edinburgh.
and Amsterdam, and even in Adelaide, Australia. And it's such a fun night for me. I hope for everybody else. But it's an improvised cabaret. So it's me and a trio of very talented musicians, and suggestions that are written down ahead of time from the audience. Suggestions, not song suggestions, but things like words to live by, and the place, your favorite place in the world, or the last text you received, and those get put in a fishbowl. And then I fish out the things and make up songs, everything from, you know, a typical cabaret. So you have your ballads, you have your Sondheims, you have your 11 o'clock numbers, you have your patter songs, and they're all made up on the spot. Terrifying.
But you love that, right?
I do after it's over. Yeah, beforehand, people say, how did you do that? And I'm like, panic. It's absolute panic. I start before the show spending about an hour cursing the day I thought of the idea, and then I go out on stage and everyone seems to have a good time, and I have a good time, and then it ends and I go, well, I guess I should do that again. Yeah. It's kind of masochistic in a way.
But you've done this all around the world, which I love. Like I said, Edinburgh, Amsterdam, anywhere in New York, and like you have no idea, you're at the theater or at the nightclub, you're getting ready backstage, and they announce you, and you have to go out there and put a show on.
Yeah, and it's not even me that they announce. We get the name of the performer from the audience and where that performer's from. So it could be, you know, David Smithfield from Poughkeepsie, and I've got to tell the life story of David Smithfield from Poughkeepsie and how he became this big star in front of you today in song and stories. So it's a lot of, it's kind of a parody of cabaret and an homage to cabaret, and like a magic show in some ways too. So I really love, you know, the event. I think it's pretty unique.
Yeah.
So.
And you have guest stars every now and then, right?
I do. I have guest stars every show, and I've had talented ones from Broadway and beyond. The most recent one was F. Murray Abraham, which was phenomenal at Joe's Pub, and Richard Kind and Nellie McKay and Christina Bianco, who's done it a few times, and James Eigelhart did it. He was brilliant. Norm Lewis came, and he was just hilarious. A lot of people have never done improv before, and they're gutsy enough to stand up on stage with me and make up a song, which I just admire them for their guts as well. And I've been very lucky that way. I'm not sure who's my, I shouldn't say I don't know. I should say I shouldn't say yet
Yes, exactly.
who the guest stars are, but it'll be some good ones for this one. It'll be a bit of holiday themed show.
Because, like I started to say, this is more of a holiday themed show, right?
Yes, yeah. December 21st, we're heading right into the Christmas weekend, so it can't not be a holiday show. And Chelsea Table and Stage is such a beautiful venue. You've been, yes. It's just got this really great energy and bright and fun, and it'll be a fun night.
So how can people get tickets for that?
You can go to Chelsea Table and Stage, their website, and find it there. And you can also go to my website, which is offthetop.nyc. How about that?
I love it. That's a fancy
one.
one.
Fancy one, right? Offthetop.nyc, and it'll take you to a link to the tickets. But they're going fast, and it's hopefully it'll be a nice packed house.
Yeah, but going back to this, and Sabbath's Theater runs until when?
Sabbath's Theater runs to December 17th, and you can get tickets for that at the New Group website, thenewgroup.org. And I'm excited for going into the holidays with it. I think we're going to get a nice crowd, and it's already selling well, and I can't wait to keep doing it. It's more fun every day.
Yeah. Just how thrilling is it to be back on stage again, doing what you love the best?
Well, it's very different, you know. It's like
Yeah.
I love acting, I love singing, I love dancing, and obviously Drowsy Chaperone was my
Yeah.
big coming out party for for Broadway, and that's always fun. And doing something like this is challenging in working with these great actors. But boy, it's nice to be in front of an audience, especially these last few months when there was nothing else going on with the strike. It's been nice to have somewhere to go and perform regularly and develop a character and continue to grow as that character. So I'm having a great time.
Well, you were all incredible in this show. I wish you
Thanks,
the very
Richard.
best with
Thank
the rest
you.
of Sabbath's Theater, and we'll be there on December 21st at Chelsea Table and Stage.
Great.
For Off the Top.
Yes, we're off the top. Thank you, Richie. Appreciate it.
Good to see you as always,
nice
my
to
friend.
see you too. I'll
Really
see you in the
nice.
neighborhood.
Got it.
Or at Sardi's.